Right, good evening. Welcome to the 12-Man podcast, live on Facebook, on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, and all your popular platforms to listeners, and of course the TalkSport fan network as well. You got me, Steve Jackson. I'm your host for the evening. You got Mr. John Donovan, who's with us as usual. Evening, JD.
Now then, are you okay?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Positive. Like it.
Had a great weekend.
Yes, it was a really good start of the weekend, wasn't it? So maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit. But special guest tonight. On the 10th of January, went to his 1400th consecutive game, which is amazing in itself. Um, on the race to 1500 now. Super fan and celebrity, the amount of interviews he's done. Mr. Nick Witt. Evening, Nick.
Evening, Steve. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Not so bad. Not so bad. A bit of a cold, but apart from that, I'll get over that.
Oh, good,
I've
good.
been worse.
Exactly. Could have been
He is a
worse.
celebrity now. He's been on telly more often than Paddy McGuinness.
I didn't even know I was apparently referred to on Look North on Wednesday or Thursday night. I didn't even know that until today.
Well, the royalty check will be on its way, I'm sure.
There you go. If you need a sponsor, we're always here. So there you go. So what was the first game of the 1400?
The first game of the 1400, Steve. Do you know what? I had to look this up when I was speaking to Gary the other week. It was Southampton 4, Middlesbrough 0.
Wow.
In September '96. The Saturday after the Hereford Coca-Cola Cup second leg.
Mm. Wow.
I can't recall it. Obviously, it was one of them games that there's a lot in 1400 that you forget.
Plus, it's nearly 30 years ago as well. That's an amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll kick into obviously your memories of all the of some of the 1400s. I mean, obviously we'll talk about number 1401, which was West Brom on Friday night. We'll talk about that. Couple of transfer stories that may or may not happen. We'll have a little chat about them. And then we'll preview the week coming up. We've got a busy week coming. Trip to Stoke on Wednesday night, but followed by a home game against Preston North End on Saturday. So, but before we both start, are we both all right?
Yes,
good,
both
thank
well.
you. Good.
Good. That's the most important thing. Right, JD, Friday. Obviously, you made the trip down as Nick did, obviously, to the back country, to West Bromwich. Good trip down.
Yeah, it was absolutely spot on. Yeah, set off on time, got to the pub on time. Yeah, everything went well. Got to the ground, fairly light traffic on the way to the ground, more easy than I expected. We were able to get a beer before the match, so we were well set up for it.
Good. And Nick, how's your journey down? I know you made.
We split the journey, Steve. We were a bit concerned about getting into Birmingham in the car, so we actually drove to Derby, parked up at Derby train station, and then did the sort of the 40-minute hop to Birmingham New Street. Went for a beer in the centre of Birmingham, and then got the tram out to the Hawthorns.
Oh, that's good. It's a nice little tram as well. That I love the Hawthorns. It's one of the weird days. I sat here on Friday night and I thought, yeah, I miss this one. I really do miss this one, and I missed the Cracker as well, which we'll go through. But I mean, Nick, this is the first time I've spoken to you this season. I know you've spoken to John obviously numerous occasions. How have you found this season? Obviously, it's been a bit up and down with, Rob Edwards coming in and then disappearing, and Kim Hellberg coming in and having a great start, then a bit of a faulty Christmas, and then he's obviously kicked back into gear again. What have you made of this season?
It's been a funny one, Steve, hasn't it? I think everybody at the start of the season was a bit, I wouldn't say concerned, but they weren't overly optimistic. We had a manager that, he might be okay, but he hadn't done brilliantly, and obviously we got off to a fantastic start. Talk the talk, everything was going great, and then questions started to get asked, I think, and I think they probably did amongst the fans, and I think probably amongst the football community in general, as to, is this sort of repeating the manager's abilities that showed at other clubs. And had we been found out, and we got to a stage where it was pretty, I wouldn't say desperate football, but it wasn't exciting football. It was a bit. We seemed to lose that impetus that we started off with, and then of course the bombshell was dropped, and everybody thought, well, where do we go from here? Who do we get to replace him? And nobody in the Western world would have come up with the name of Kim Hellberg. But clearly the club took a gamble, and I think they would admit that they took a calculated gamble, let's say. And to date, yes, we had that blip, but whilst we had that blip, we were still almost there. It wasn't as if we fell off a cliff. And when you look at the stats suggested that there was something wrong, yes, but it wasn't something that couldn't be resolved. And touch wood, we've gone back for the last 3 games to a different scenario. And I've got no doubt, having met the guy, that we are in as safe hands as we can be in. Everybody's seen his press conferences and his interviews and everything else, and the guy is absolutely, utterly 1,000,000% football. And I wouldn't say that's his life, but that's what he lives for. And he is so focused. I've never seen anybody as focused in my contact with the club, and other clubs. In fact, he is sort of extreme almost. Not saying he's always going to get it right, and who knows where the future is going to be, but I think looking back now, we certainly made the right decision.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. He's been brilliant. I've not had the pleasure of meeting him as of yet. Obviously, still recovering as I am at the moment, but hope to get that meeting with him at some point. But he seems, first time I've heard him speak in probably press conferences and before games and after games, things like that. But he did quite an in-depth interview with Sky on, I think it was on Wednesday, Thursday, before the West Bromwich game. And obviously they grilled him because he didn't have a clue what they were going to ask him. And he just was so genuine, so honest. If you go to one extreme, Ruben Amorim saying, I'm not a head coach, I'm a manager, I'm this and that. Kim Hellberg was being asked about players coming in and out and things like that. And he was just saying, I'm here to coach. That's above my pay grade. I'm just here to do my job. And that's exactly what you want from a manager, from a head coach. Do your job. Don't put your hands in other places where you're not needed, you're not wanted. Just let other people do their jobs and you can just do yours. And I thought that was quite genuine. I thought it was really good. So it was a good little insight into what he's like. And
a little couple daft stories there, Steve. And again, I don't think I'm spilling anything that I shouldn't be saying. But when I went up to see him, I actually saw his assistant first. And we were looking for somewhere at Rockcliffe to go, and somebody suggested, why don't we go to Kim's room? And I said, well, won't Kim mind? And David turned around and said, Kim never uses the room. He said he's always in our room. He's always in with the analysts. He's always somewhere. He said he's got a room there, and you went in the room, and it was pretty sparse. There wasn't a lot of stuff around. There wasn't, there was no boards or anything else in his room. I had my meeting with David. Then I was due to see Kim, and somebody came in before Kim arrived and said, I hope you wouldn't mind, but this was probably about 3:30. He said the girls in the canteen want to get themselves home, but Kim hasn't sort of found time to have anything to eat yet. So would you mind if I brought some food in for Kim for while she's sitting chatting? So this was about 3:30, and the guy had almost forgotten to go for his lunch. So wrapped up in everything.
Yeah, he does have a very committed side of him by the looks of it. Big example I saw, obviously, not many managers go to the academy games, things like that. But he was at the under-23 game yesterday, wasn't he? Against Ipswich, so he was watching that. over the weekend. Obviously, one player that he put into the lineup, sports squad and the lineup at Fulham, Cruz eBay. Obviously scored a hat trick, so he's been watching and one of his philosophies is obviously using the youth as well. So he's big. He's a big promoter of that. So yeah, he's all right in my eyes. I like the guy. I think he's doing a really good job so far. So yeah, right. Let's kick into Friday night. JD, I'll start with you. Couple of additions onto the substitutes bench. Couple of new boys. Leo Castledine, who we spoke about last week, and another new one from Aston Villa, being on loan at Swindon for the half a season before he was recalled to be sold to us. Sounds a bit familiar. Finley Monroe came in onto the bench, so more recruitment onto the left-hand side of the pitch.
Yeah, and when you look at both of those signings, the ages of them, the potential, and the fees we paid for them, it's fantastic how we've sort of got two players in with such potential who have done well at their loan clubs, and we've got them in for less than a combined £1.5 million. Yes, there are sell-on clauses should they move on, but if they move on, it means they've done well for us. If other teams are wanting them, it means that they'll have probably done well for us. And if the fee's a big one, we still get 80%, 70% of that. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they can both offer.
No, definitely. It's good that that Kim put them straight into the start. Obviously, the squad of 20 that went to the Hawthorns on Friday night. It shows that they are needed to be put in the squad. You could probably see that from the bench that we had against Fulham. There's a few players out at the moment, which is luckily we've got players coming back, which is really good. But JD, what did you make of the starting lineup on Friday night?
Yeah, I was pleased, but like you say, we've got some players out. We know that they're not going to return for a few weeks. So I was quite happy with how the team shape looked. Yeah, no problems for me. I was okay with it. I didn't stop and think that I wouldn't have done this or I would have done that. No, I was quite happy with the lineup.
And Nick, what was your thoughts on the team lineup? Obviously, not too many changes made, but still.
I don't think there was any changes made today. In fact, wasn't it from the Fulham game? But I wondered whether he would have thrown Castledine in as a bit of a curveball. I didn't think he would, but I thought he might have done. We know, completely unknown for me and for the Boro fans, and how he's trained, how he looks. We had no idea, but I just thought that for me might have only been the only change because there wasn't a lot of people. Well, there was no players really coming back, so there wasn't really a lot of options. If he reported the previous week that there was no injuries from the Fulham game, and I did think that. I thought, as I say, possibly Castledine might have made the starting 11, but I was no great surprise that he didn't.
No, I said it. I mean, he did. I think he did make a couple of changes. But I do think back. Obviously, Alan Brown obviously came in for to the team. Obviously, he wasn't. He went into right back. Silver went to left back. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about Silver as well a little bit later on. But kicking the game, JD, it was a bit of a slow start. It was, I mean, West Brom had a chance really early on, a bit of a mistake from us at the back, which we recovered from and they didn't capitalise on. But a lot was made about West Brom's approach before the game, how Eric Ramsey would go about things, and he's known for more of a counter-attacking style, sitting back and waiting for play to come to them kind of thing. So it was more going to be us on the front foot kind of thing. Going forward, and that's how it seemed to pan out, because it took us a little bit of a while to get into the game because we didn't quite know how to approach it, kind of thing. That's how it looked to me, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't we didn't look unduly troubled, but similarly, I don't think we put them under a great amount of pressure, not sustained pressure anyway. And yeah, I thought the first half was going to just end goalless, because, like I say, there was nothing really that either team could have sort of like claimed was a golden chance. There were a few half chances, but nothing that was really sort of particularly goal worthy. So yeah, I thought it was going to end up 0-0 half time, and then we got a goal just before half time, changed the complexion.
It did, and Nick, that goal did come to before half time, and obviously it was put down as an own goal, obviously from Gilbert's shot hit the post, and Charlie Taylor put it in. The thing I looked at though was the impact that Hackney had on that play, because he got the ball and all of a sudden he just clicked and he went and he made some space for himself and he made that 10-15 yard dash to play the ball across to Gilbert. How impressed have you been with Hayden Hackney this season?
I think that incident, Steve, I think was difficult from our end, because obviously we were at the far end, and it was difficult to see what had gone on. As it happened, when I watched it back afterwards, exactly what I thought happened had happened. Everybody else that I was with had a different story about how it had gone in and where it went in and everything else. But that's how I saw it actually transpired. But yeah, I mean, Hackney's been, he's shone throughout the season, really, hasn't he? Which of course could have major issues come the end of January.
Yeah. He's the main man at the moment. He's leading by example, and it's not a surprise that he's getting the man of the match accolades on a regular basis.
Yeah, and it's not surprising the accolades he's getting from and the admiration he's getting from other clubs as well, because he's not short of a few suitors at the moment that are looking at him and say, I think we're in for an important 2 weeks to try and keep hold of him, which I'm hoping we can do. But because that'll be massive, that'll be as huge as a new signing. But yeah, he made the impact and the difference in that goal. Obviously, he just put the afterburners on, and then he was away from the midfield and got the bottle of Gilbert. But yeah, went into half time 1-0. Came back out second half. It was not as if Kim had given him a bit of a rocket. I think he's obviously said to him, need to be a bit quicker, need to be a bit more firmer. Because we came back out the second half, JD, I thought we had a bit more control of the ball. It wasn't as much as we were waiting for West Brom to do something to get back in the game. We took the initiative and said, right, we're going to go and get that second goal. And then sure enough, when it wasn't too much pressure. It was sustained kind of mini pressure. We kept the ball in good places. And then obviously the ball went to Sammy Silvera, who pinged it in the bottom corner.
Yeah, I mean, with the first goal and the second, the good thing is that we took the early opportunity to shoot. So many times we took extra touches or went further away from goal into difficult positions where we can't get the shot off. But I thought Gilbert took a shot first time. Silvera steadied the ball into a shooting position and slotted it in the corner. And that gave us that cushion, that gave us that 2-0 cushion. And I think every fan thought, that we'd go on to sort of control the game and see the game out, but it didn't transpire that way.
No, it didn't. I mean, we'll kick into that, but yeah, I mean, I was messaging my old man throughout the second half. He was obviously watching at home as well. He was saying, and it weirdly said about the 70th minute, you need another goal here. And I thought, do we? Because at that point, West Brom weren't really in the game. They weren't really threatening. They weren't really putting us under sustained pressure. They were popping up every now and then, but nothing massive. But then the big moment, Nick, the foul on the edge of the box, which
I think before that, Steve, the bigger moment before that, and for me, and I said it bang on the time,
Melander's header. Yeah.
That was the game changer for me.
Yeah,
because let's face it, he should have scored or he should have hit the target.
Yeah,
I
I
agree
think when
totally.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he got a clean header. He just hit it down too close to him, and
Yeah.
another foot up towards the goal, and it would have bounced in the top of the net. But yeah, it was a big chance, and we should have gone 3-0 up.
It was a huge chance because that was another game where Melanda is obviously impressed again. You know how comfortable he was at the back, and you know how well he's fitted into to life at Boro. Obviously, he had that header. 70th minute, and 5 minutes later, West Brom get that goal. Obviously, a free kick that when you watch it back, it wasn't a free kick. It was a bit inside the box, but we got away with that one. But we didn't get away with it because the ball still went in. And all of a sudden, that message I got with you need another goal started to become true because they scored that goal to make it 2-1, and all of a sudden we were under all sorts of pressure. It was like the substitutions that Eric Ramsey had made all of a sudden, and the tactics he slightly tweaked. We were under massive pressure, and Nick, that equaliser pretty much summed up the goals we conceded. It was a little bit of a deflection on the shot from Jed Wallace, and then it was just frustrating, just so frustrating. We were 2-0 up, comfortable, and all of a sudden we're back to 2-2.
Yeah, I thought that defending for the second goal was a bit Edwards-esque. That was the sort of goal we conceded. I mean, again, the first goal, I couldn't see obviously whether it was a penalty or not from our end, but looking back on it, was the keeper at fault? I don't think the keeper was at fault, but maybe he'd have hoped he'd have got his hand to the ball. The second one, it was intense pressure, and for whatever reason, we couldn't hold the ball. And that wasn't just in the defence; that was throughout the team. We just lost that composure, and you could see what was coming. And inevitably it did. Again, a little bit unfortunate. If Hayden Hackney had got a bit of a stronger touch on it, maybe it wouldn't have gone to the player. But who knows? And would it have happened 2 minutes later? I don't know.
No.
I think the first goal. I'm not going to blame the keeper at all. I thought the wall broke. There was a couple of people who ran to close the free kick down because it was touched to. Is it Price who scored?
Yeah.
I think there was 3 players involved. One touched it, the other guy stopped it, and then Price struck it in. But there was 2 players in the wall who ran to try and close the shot down, and I think that created the gap that the ball went in. So I'm not going to blame Sol Bryn for that goal. If the wall had stayed strong, who knows? It might have just cannoned off one of our players. But yeah, it was difficult being in the crowd to see a 2-goal lead in which I thought we were quite comfortable. I just thought we had to keep the ball better, be a bit more smarter with the ball and not cheaply give it away. But we were doing that, and we found ourselves level pegging. And I think most around me that I spoke to were thinking that's 2 points thrown away. It's at the time of the season now when every single point is vital, and it was absolutely heartbreaking to see them equalise when I didn't really think they deserved it, but they found themselves back in at 2-2.
No, I thought they were really ordinary at times. West Brom, I really did. It wasn't the West Brom I was expecting that I spoke about last week. I always say it's a bit tricky going the Hawthorn, especially on a Friday night as well. But it just wasn't. And to concede the way we did and let them back in the game was really disappointing. I was sat here thinking we've let that slip. That's 2 points gone, and obviously, we've still got Ipswich to play the day after, Coventry to play the day after, but describe that away end for me, JD, when that ball went into the back of the net, because it looked like there was some absolute limbs in that away end. It
was brilliant, honestly. It's a pivotal moment, really. It could be a pivotal moment in our season. To get that goal, and after such a good movement from us. With the ball from Hackney, from Morris to Hackney to Silvera. It was all nice and neat. And then Bergzorg pointed to where he wanted the ball, and again a first time shot. You've seen Bergzorg take too many touches and lose the chance, but he struck it well, put it right in the corner. And it was unbelievable. I was back row or second back row, and it was just absolutely fantastic when that goal went in. Relief, joy, brilliant. Loved it.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I just looked that way and I thought, what I'd give to be in the middle of that. They're the type of goals I love celebrate when I'm on the road. And I mean, to be fair, when I was sat here and I was watching it and the ball went in, and as you do when you're late winner when you watch your team at home, you fly out your chair and you shout, get it, and then my body went, no, you can't do that yet. Stop. But yeah, I need to message to it saying I can't get up off the floor here. My legs are caved in, but yeah, it was amazing moment, amazing moment. And you're right, as John said there, Nick. It could be a vital goal when we're all sat here in May, looking back on the season, because it's them type of goals where you've let it slip, but you still find a way to win that make the top teams be exactly where they are.
Yeah, I think again, me being the pessimist that I am, I when we scored, I said to my mate, I said, this isn't quite over yet, and he agreed with me. But we did incredibly well to see out that injury time, really without any major concern, and we controlled that last four minutes was of injury time. Obviously, he played more because of the goal, but we saw that out without any real issues.
Yeah, every time they seem to get close to threatening by either putting the ball in the box or anything like that, we seem to do something quite tactically clever by either going down, getting a soft free kick, or Sol Bryn did his job by catching the ball in the middle of the air. Things like that. It was nice and easy. It wasn't you never were worried, and they're the types of injury times that you want, especially when you just got a late winner. So, but yeah, huge 3 points and a very, very happy away end. But the man that set up the goal, JD, you mentioned him, Sammy Silvera. Obviously, he scored a goal, set up another goal. It just shows how much he really is kicking on. He's got put on the left hand side due to injuries, but he looked at home again. He looked comfortable. He played really well at times, and he just looks at the moment that you can't really take him out of the team because he's playing that well.
No, he deserves his place in the team. Yeah, he has played well recently. Again, you look at Fulham. He set up the goal for Hackney, and then he scored against Southampton the week earlier. Yeah, he's having a good spell. It's about confidence. It's about belief, and he's doing it in an unfamiliar position. He's been asked to play wing back, full back, and it's not his natural position, but he's doing well, and he deserves his place in the team.
He does. You're absolutely right, and long may it continue, because more and more players are coming back. It's still vital that players like Silvera are still performing, because we're gonna need to use our squad between now and the end of the season. It's not a case of stick our best 11 and hope that it sticks and everything goes well with that. But we've got 19 massive games coming, massive games between now and the end of April, beginning of May. So yeah, the whole squad's gonna have to play the part, and the more that the fringe players can keep in form, the better. Same with Alex Gilbert. I thought he had a really good game on Friday as well. But yeah,
it's very fine margins, Dusty, isn't it? You look at and Sammy is a great lad. I do know him. He went on loan obviously last year to Portsmouth. Yeah. Got booed out of the club effectively, and then he went to Blackpool.
Yeah.
And didn't cut it there. And then he came back, and last 12 months of his contract, not knowing what the future holds, and then all of a sudden, he for whatever, he does what he's done in the last 3 games, and all of a sudden the tide turns.
Yeah,
he's taken his chance. I know he's had numerous chances, but he's been given a chance under Kim Hellberg, and he's taken that chance. And like I say, at the moment, I feel as though he deserves to start.
He does. You're absolutely right. I can't take that place away from him at the moment. If you've earned the shirt, you keep it on. So yeah, he's doing everything he can at the moment to keep that shirt, and long may it continue. But that's obviously that's West Brom sorted out. But before we go, so there's a couple of contenders for this one. I'll start with you, JD. Your man of the match for Friday night.
Well, Hackney was the obvious one, but he's got that many awards on his mantelpiece. I'll just say that I thought Aidan Morris had a really good game. Him and Hackney in midfield are doing well together. I know Morris had time out with injuries, but it seems like we're getting the best of him at the moment. I thought he had a really good game.
There you go, Aidan Morris.
He nearly scored first half. If he kept the ball down, it would have been a goal, but it was too high. But I'd like to see him get a goal. I mean, we sing the song about him scoring, don't we? So I think he needs to do it for us.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with much with what you say there, John. Again, we talked about Silvera there. Again, I don't think you can dismiss anybody who's scored a goal and made an assist. I also thought that Matt Targett played very well, very steady, very reassured. I don't think anybody sort of stood out as a wow, as a sort of a 9 or a 10 out of 10. But I thought Matt Targett was up there as good as anybody.
Yeah, I thought he was really good. The way you described Aidan Morris there, John, by the way, if you'd kept the ball down, it would have been a goal. It was the most Michael Owen thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yes. Yeah. Just state the obvious then, eh?
I know. If that had hit the target, he might have scored. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. But no, I mean, I know he was voted man of the match for Malander, but my man of the match was Silvera. I thought Silvera was brilliant. He bossed that left hand side.
Who give Malander man of the match? Was that?
He was voted on the club website.
I think Neil Madison did as well.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Because Hackney got the Sky one, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
It shows, doesn't it? It shows, how many good players came out of that game against West Brom. Hackney got it from Sky. Mazzo on the club gave it to Malander. We've just given it to 3 completely different players. It shows the quality we've got at the moment, and the quality showing through. When we do need it, it's starting to come up trumps. Thank God. Especially when we need it on Friday night. So yeah, long may it continue. I keep saying. But right, bit of transfer news. Obviously, we had Finley Monroe coming from Aston Villa on a permanence. Couple of rumours going around now, JD. Obviously, Sarmiento's got more than one suitor that quite fancy the look of him playing for their club in the Championship. And there was a bit of something coming out of Bristol City as well. Bergsorg's not quite off as we thought he was going to be, because it looks like Bristol City aren't in the market as much as we thought for a new striker. It looks like they're going to pretty much stick with what they've got. Maybe bring in one if they need to.
Who knows? I mean, agents start rumours, dismiss rumours, try and force the hand of selling clubs or buying clubs. Don't really know, do we? Let's be honest. There's lots and lots of speculation about. I mean, to be honest, Nick will probably have more in-depth knowledge on this with regards rumours, because he knows personally a few agents, and he might have heard stronger rumours than us. But like I said, agents do their job. They move players on. They can start rumours, end rumours. It's whatever happens will happen, and we'll see. The main thing for me is we keep Hayden Hackney. That's it. For me, we've had January transfer windows that have ruined our season recently, and I don't want this season to be ruined if he moves on, because we're in a fantastic position in the league.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a little one on Sarmiento there, and I read that obviously in the press today, but I text Jason Steele last week or maybe it was the week before when the rumours first came out, and I said, what's the story, what's the verdict, and he hadn't heard anything. As the Dork footballers, they're in their own little bubble, and obviously Sarmiento's in Italy and da-di-da-di-da. But he said to me, it'd be a great loan signing when it was talked about a loan, and then within an hour, 2 hours, it was suggested it might be a permanent deal. And I went back to Jay and I said, "Oh, it could be a permanent deal," and he said that would be one hell of a buy for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it excites me a little bit if a colleague is saying that, but who knows? As John said, who knows? There's an awful football is a small pond with a lot of people in it, and things can change very, very quickly.
Yeah,
I mean, if we were to get him, I mean, he's already got 2 promotions behind him with Ipswich and Burnley. So I mean, that experience and that little bit of extra quality.
He didn't play a lot of games in either of those seasons, though, John. When he went on loan to the 2 clubs, he wasn't an ever present.
No, I appreciate that, but the fact that you're improving your squad,
yeah, absolutely,
it's not about him being a first team starter permanently, but if you can utilize him in certain games at certain times to get you over the line, then every little bit helps.
Yeah. Well, we saw what Doak did last year, didn't we?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's sometimes it's the ones that don't have the bigger impact at other clubs that come in and have that massive impact for yourselves. It's all about fitting in the right place, and if Sarmiento can do that for us, I'd be more than delighted. He's shown the quality when he has been given his chance in his loan spells with previous clubs. I don't think he's having the greatest of times in Italy, but that could be different atmosphere, different surroundings. He's not quite used to as of yet, but you don't judge it on that. But the big goals he scored, especially a couple of seasons ago for Ipswich. I remember one goal he scored against Southampton. It was 91st, 92nd minute. Ping one in the bottom corner. So that was a big goal for their promotion season. So he's got history. He's been there, he's done it, he's worn the t-shirt. So if we can get him in, that'd be a massive one. But like you said, John, that keeping Hayden Hackney it's got to be priority number one. The only worry I've got now is obviously the news came out over the weekend. He's acquired himself a new agent. Is that him telling the world that I'm looking at my options for the future? Am I looking at my options now? Is my agent in a position to get me more money? I don't know. Like you just said, we don't know. But I imagine it got a few Boro fans whispering at the weekend anyway.
If somebody comes calling us, it's almost a deal that will happen. Unfortunately, as much as we don't want it, and as much as he's a Teesside lad, and as much as he should stay loyal, and as much, well, why doesn't he stay till the summer? Who genuinely, let's say a Man United do make a bid, and let's say that they match Middlesbrough's transfer fee requirement, and the player is given the option of going to Manchester United or staying with Middlesbrough and trying to get promoted, and the Manchester United deal happens now. He could get injured in the next 6 months. He could have a drop of form. They could bring a new manager in who doesn't fancy the player, whatever. And unfortunately, in today's world, money talks. And if somebody is going to give him I've dread to think at Man United, perhaps 5 to 10 times more than he's earning at Middlesbrough. If he signs a contract with Manchester United, he will never have to work again in his life. And perhaps his children won't have to work in their lives if that's what they want to do. And that's the sort of numbers that we're talking about. And I'm sorry, but football now has been not killed by it, but it's been spoiled by it. That money is so, it's such a big influence, or it is the only influence on the game now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, I'll say when I was at university, it's something I wrote about money, how money influences football, and it's just got even bigger and bigger, even from then onwards. So, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. If Man United or Tottenham or whoever it is come knocking and say there's 30 million quid, do you want it? It's going to be very, very difficult for Middlesbrough to say no, we don't want it. It's going to be very difficult. I know as fans we're going to say no, be stubborn, keep until the summer. Because I feel.
But you know what? If we use that 30 million wisely, it's one of those, isn't it? Who knows? Who knows what we bring in for the money, and it solves our financial fair play issues for the next 2 or 3 seasons.
Yep.
So would promotion though, Nick.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, John, and ultimately that is the one, isn't it? Because that far outweighs what Hayden, and this is what we'll find next season if we go up. Where are we going to start fishing in terms of transfers?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, the last thing we want to do is if we do go up, we don't want to come straight back down again, or have a possibility of coming straight back down. We want to do, unfortunately, what the team up the road are doing. They've bedded themselves quite well into the Premier League. They're settled in mid-table and doing a job. So that's kind of what we got to look at and say, right, we want to get ourselves up and we want to stay there. So we've got to do the job right. But luckily, I do feel we've got the right team to do that. I feel like everyone's aligned at the club. I think we mentioned it either last week or the week before. Everybody's vision seems to be together, and it's something I mentioned actually on Talksport when I was speaking to Paul Ross on I think it was Wednesday night, and I was speaking to him as well. He was saying, how do we find it as a football club having Steve Gibson and people in charge? And I said, well, everybody's aligned in the club, everybody's together, everybody's got exactly the same vision, and it's the closest I've felt the fan base with the club for quite a while, and long may that continue. It's been brilliant. The feeling around the club this season's been great, even with the previous manager doing what he did. So,
well, like I said, we're in a great position. We're in a fantastic position in the league. I think the club finances are okay. We're not in desperate need to sell the likes of Hayden Hackney, but like Nick says, if an offer comes in that you can't turn down, or if the player expresses a wish to leave, then it's out of our hands. But I just want us to seize this opportunity. We're in a really strong position. Yes, the chasing pack behind us, they've all got, Ipswich may possibly have a larger, stronger squad, but they've got to overhaul us. They've got a game in hand, yes, I know, but they've got the cup tie that will mean that they'll have another league game postponed. So it's just a backlog of fixtures. Let's do our utmost to try and stay in the position that we're in.
Exactly. We've worked hard for 27 games to get us in this position. Let's work hard in the next 19 to keep us there. And I say, yes, I know Coventry and Ipswich did win. And I know Millwall got the win at Watford at the weekend as well. But after that, teams didn't do great. There was a few draws in there. I know Hull won, but after that, you've got draws in there. You've got losses in there, and we've just got to keep doing what we're doing. And
well, you've got games tomorrow. You've got games tomorrow, or midweek games rather, that are quite influential in our end of the table. I think do Coventry play
Millwall?
Millwall, that's right. And Ipswich, they've got to tuck Bristol City, is it?
They've got Bristol City, yeah. And Preston
Yeah.
have got Hull.
So, I mean, yeah. So, you know, yes, it's about what we do, but they're also feeling the pressure as well, you know. So, yeah, good opportunity. Let's make the most of it.
Exactly. And we can sit back and watch them games unfold.
I don't know what I don't know what's more pressure for me, is the Boro getting the victory at Stoke, or the fact that Nick's on my bus and I've got to make sure he gets there to make that. If I break his run when he writes his book in 10 years' time, you know, he's going to call me from a pig to a dog. So I've got to make sure that he gets there on Wednesday.
I faith, John.
I think you're in capable hands. I think John will get you there, but no, I mean, and for game 1402 will be Stoke. Obviously, you know, the first of our 2 games coming up this week. We've got a tough week coming, to be quite honest. Stoke away, that's another game I love doing. But another team, Nick, that around that position in the playoff run, you know, they're in that pack that are chasing. They had a really good start of the season. Obviously dropped off from where they were because they were flying high with Coventry and ourselves. But the Bet365 is still no easy place to go to, especially on a cold, horrible Wednesday night.
Absolutely. We don't have a particularly good record there either, do we?
No, we don't. So, you know, that says it all. But what kind of Stoke team are you expecting on Wednesday night?
It's going to be a Mark Robins side, isn't it? And we all know what Mark Robins, you know, again, speaking to people in the football world, they all, to a person, say, you know, he's one of the best tacticians that they've ever come across. They caveat that by saying his man management skills aren't brilliant, but you know, that's another side of the game, and you know, you can bring in somebody to do that. I don't know how much of it, you know, I mean, again, AD Vivash was with Mark Robins for a long period, and everybody at the time said that, you know, it was AD Vivash that was making the decisions. But again, from speaking to people within the game, they all speak very, very highly of Mark Robins as a tactician.
Yeah, he's got a good record against us, hasn't he? He always seems to do well against us. But I was talking to a guy on the Stoke podcast earlier today, and he said that they've got a lot of injury problems. He said, we're down to 13 fit first teamers, and there's only one striker fit amongst them, and that's Sorba Thomas, which I'm a bit disappointed, because he normally has a good game against us. So I was hoping that he would have been injured for the game, but no. But so yeah, it's going to be a tough game, but I go into it full of confidence, especially after hearing what the Stoke lads said. You know, their injury problems are probably worse than ours. So yeah, it makes me more confident.
Yeah, I've got to agree with what you said about Sorba Thomas as well. I remember when he got let go by Huddersfield. He was one of the players. I'm not massively into looking at loads of free agents, etc., especially when they go down into League One like Huddersfield did. He was one of the players I looked at and I thought, you know what, I wouldn't mind him in the Boro shirt. I really wouldn't. I think he's a brilliant. He's a horrible player to play against. He really is.
Well, he's their top scorer this season. I think he's got 9 goals. And their home record, it's okay. They have lost 4, won 6, drew 3. So it's not a fortress, but I think recent home results have been okay. But the way we're playing and the confidence that should be amongst our players at the moment, after Southampton, after the positive performance against Fulham, and then the win on Friday night, well, you know, we'll be up for it. I'm looking forward to it so much.
We still talk, don't we, John? We still need that to be confident going into games. We still need that player who we think, well, he's got a good chance of scoring, and that's what, unfortunately, we're picking up. We're scoring plenty of goals, but the players who are scoring goals are not the normal ones, so to speak. You know, when you look at the players who are scoring.
Yeah.
We haven't got somebody that we can hang our hat on, a Tuber Akpom or a Latte Lath or anybody that we can say, well, he would hope that he's going to score a goal, because there isn't anybody, unfortunately.
No, striker-wise, there isn't, unfortunately, is there? But I mean, we are lucky. We have got Morgan Whittaker, who, like you said, he's not one that's immediately hit you in the face as an obvious choice, but if he can keep his little run going, I know obviously, he didn't score in the last game, but he was still influential. He still had an impact on the game. So, yeah, there's players around the pitch. We just, like you said, we just need that focal point that's going to be guaranteed to get you 5-10 goals between now and the end of the season. That's what you're really looking for now. So
I'm sure Kieran Scott and others at the club are feeling exactly the same, and will be looking to plug that gap. I mean, I don't know when we'll see David Strelic back. I thought we might have sort of got him back for this game. I'm hoping it's for Saturday, because I think he offers us something different to Tommy Conway.
no, he does. You're absolutely right. He's I was massively impressed when he came in, because obviously he scored first game as well. Funny enough, against West Brom, wasn't it? So,
West Brom,
but yeah, he's a bit of a different striker. I think he's a bit more of a, I wouldn't say a predator, but he's more focused within the box kind of thing.
I think he's got instinct. I mean, that goal against Hull, that was a great first touch, and then the instinct was to put it in the roof of the net, and then the finish against QPR, he had to hold off a defender and beat the advancing keeper. I thought that was a great finish. You can see that he's got it within him as a striker to bag us goals. So I'd like to see him get a good run of games and try and get a half a dozen between now and the end of the season.
Yeah,
or more.
well, you can only hope. So, with that in mind, then, gentlemen, I'll start with you, Nick. Prediction time. Stoke away.
I always flag John off for saying you're always too optimistic, John. But you know what? I'm going to follow suit this week. I think I'm going to go 2-0, and I'm going to go ahead and Hackney anytime.
Okay. JD, come here.
I love that. Nick's come onto the podcast and he's turned into a optimistic Boro fan. I'm going to go 2-1, and I'll go Morgan Whittaker.
Okay, I'm going to go 3-1, and I'm actually going to go Tommy Conway. I think Tommy Conway scores. It's a type of game. I'm optimistic. It's the type of game that he seems to pop up and do something. So he did last year at Stoke. So I'm hoping he does exactly the same again this year. And then I won't preview the game against Preston. We know it's going to be another tough game. It's going to be Preston are going through a bit of a rocky spell, but they're still in the fight for that playoff hunt. I'll just push for you for a score prediction. I'll start with you, JD. Score prediction for Saturday.
4-0. So we beat them last time, wasn't it? 4-0.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll repeat that: 4-0, and Aidan Morris as an anytime goal scorer.
Wow, you really are. Wow. Nick, come to you.
I'm going to come back down to earth here, John, and let my head rule my heart. I'm going to go 1-1 Milander.
1-1. 2-0. Because it's an 12 kickoff, isn't it, on Saturday as well? So yeah, Boro fans, don't forget that it's 12 kickoff. Don't tell me 3 o'clock; it'll be too late. Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0, and Matt Target. Fancy Matt Target to get a goal. Providing he's still here, because there's still room. there's still rumours he's going to get recalled, isn't there? So.
Well, that's it. That we've got 2 deadlines to sweat over, haven't we? We've got that Matt Target one, and then obviously we've got the closing of the window on the 31st. So it's going to be a little bit of nervy times.
They could both be the same, though, John. I don't think it's been announced, has it? When because it was earlier, wasn't it? And that is the norm, I think, when there is a recall clause. It's normally sort of halfway through the transfer window to give the other club the option, to go out and get somebody else. But I think in this case, that was going to pass, and we did a deal, from what the press say, we did a deal with Newcastle to extend that deadline, and who knows, it could be the whatever date it is, the second of February, the deadline.
Yeah, certainly is. 2nd of February. So 2 weeks today. We've got 14 days to hopefully hang on to what we've got, and
but I think it's a 7 o'clock deadline as well. It's not the 11 o'clock one.
Yeah, so there's no late night for most people. Although the amount of late slips that people put in, and you still sat up till God knows what time waiting for people to put the deals through. Yeah, just gets daft. But no, hopefully we can keep hold of what we've got. But yeah, just like that, we are finished, done for a week. John, thank you very much for popping on as usual. Speak to you through the week. Nick, thank you very much for popping on. It's always good to catch up with you. It's been a while, obviously. Enjoy game 1402 at Stoke. The race to 1500, hopefully. The race to 1500 is on. So hopefully in a couple of years, we'll get that 1500 mark, and John will even do a big poster for you. So there you go. So yes, thank you very much for listening, for watching, subscribing, liking, getting involved. Arrivederci, up the Boro, be seeing you. Talk to you next.